Hello and welcome to episode 310 of Your Parenting Long Game. I am Rachel Bailey and I teach tools to parents of kids with big emotions, kids who are sensitive or anxious, kids who feel things strongly and may have a hard time being flexible. And I created the long game method for raising children with big emotions so that you can shift your home from a place of drama and disconnection to a place of calm, confidence, and connection. That means that you as a parent can stop walking on eggshells and that you will know how to handle situations that may currently leave you feeling helpless. That means you'll know how to handle it if your child wakes up on the wrong side of the bed or if they get really upset when you tell them that you have to make an unexpected stop on the way home from school. It means you'll know how to handle it if they always insist that they get to choose the restaurant that everyone has to go to, or if they melt down when you tell them that they can't stay up as late as they wanted to. And better yet, it means you will know how to make it less likely that those things will happen to begin with. Now, I've been doing this for a long time. I have helped thousands of families for over a decade, and I can tell you that the solution to bringing this calm and confidence and connection to your home is really a two-step formula. Now, the first step in this long game formula is to identify what your child needs and meet those needs. And it sounds like that would be really complicated, but as I said, there's a step-by-step process in identifying what your child needs and in giving it to them. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that in this episode. The second step to the long game formula, which I'm going to talk more about in the next episode, is that you have to be what I call a powerful, positive influence who can meet your child's needs. It's one thing to know what your child needs, but very often we try to give our children what they need. We try to calm them down. We try to give them strategies to handle life a little bit more effectively, and they're unwilling to use these strategies. They're unwilling to listen to us. If we try to bring these things up, they just shut down. So the second step in this formula is to be a powerful, positive influence who can actually meet those needs. Now, as I mentioned, the first step of this long game formula is to identify and meet your child's needs. And I'm going to demonstrate what I mean by this by having you imagine something. Imagine you have a job and there's a project you have to do at this job, but you don't know how to do certain pieces of this project. Maybe it requires you to use complicated spreadsheets that you just don't know how to use. And you know you have to get this project done because your boss has told you that a few times, and you're trying to get it done, but you can't. Now, your boss recognizes that you're not getting the project done and they get frustrated with you because they assume that because you are in that job, because they've hired you to do the job, you should know how to do it. So if you're not doing the project, they assume that it is a behavior issue. They try to tell you all of the reasons that it's so important that you get this project done. They even tell you that if you get it done, they're going to reward you with a promotion. Or if you don't get it done, they're going to punish you through a performance improvement plan. Now, you know how important this job is because your boss has told you how important it is many times, that your boss has threatened punishments and promised rewards, but you still don't know how to do it. So you are feeling worse and worse about yourself. And eventually, when your boss sees that you haven't gotten the project done, they're not necessarily thinking about how you're feeling about it, but they put you on a performance improvement plan, not telling you how to do anything better, but letting you know that if you don't improve, you might lose your job. So I want you to imagine how your performance would be impacted in this scenario. If your boss wasn't considering what skills you were missing or what you needed to be successful, they just saw this as a behavior issue because you weren't doing what they wanted and expected you to do. So they were trying to change your behavior through rewards and punishments, shape your behavior without actually getting to the cause of the behavior. Is that going to improve your performance? Probably not. And it may even have an impact on how you feel about yourself and how you feel about your boss. So you can see this in this example probably very easily, but this is what we do to our kids. When our kids are not behaving the way we want, when they're not feeling the way we want them to feel, we tend to treat them the way this boss treated you in this example that I gave. So let's say your child is being mean to their sister. When we see that mean behavior, we think in our heads that behavior is not acceptable. I need to change that behavior. So we tell them that they need to change that behavior. We say to them, you can't be mean to your sister. That's not okay. That's not how we act in this family. Now, the assumption underneath all of that is that they should know how to do this. We're thinking in their heads, well, they've been nice to their sister before, so they should know how to do this, or they're XYZ number of years old, so they should know how to do this. We make the assumption that they should know how, not thinking about, well, why aren't they being nice to their brother or sister? If they haven't been nice to their brother or sister after we've told them that, we see this as a behavior issue. We continue to stress the importance of being nice to their brother or sister. We may promise to reward them if they're nicer. We may threaten to punish them if they're not nicer, but we still haven't said, why is my child being mean to their brother or sister in the first place? And when things don't get better, we probably do enforce some sort of consequence. Maybe we take away their screen time. We may also tell them continuously how they need to change their behavior, and their attitude is likely going to become more negative, and then we tell them that their attitude is unacceptable. So now they haven't been nice to their brother or sister, and we're telling them that their attitude when we talk to them about it is unacceptable. Now, if you think about it in the same terms of that situation you were in, it is very similar. You were just like that boss, assuming that your child should know how to do this. You were justifying it in their own mind, but you weren't asking yourself why they weren't doing it in the first place. And if that boss isn't going to make your performance better, it's probably not going to make your child behave better when you have these expectations and you're not looking at what's underneath. So again, the first part of long game parenting is to assess their needs. I actually call this in some of my programs a needs assessment, and I do this with parents to figure out what do their children need. For example, when a child is mean to their brother or sister, they likely have a lot of emotional yuck inside. They also don't have the skills to handle that yuck maturely. They don't know how, when they're frustrated with their brother or sister, to calm themselves down and talk it through and resolve conflict, control their impulses. There are so many skills that they are missing, and we're missing the boat when we're not addressing that. That's why shifting to a long game parent requires you to assess your child's needs and meet those needs if you want things to get better in the long run. But I want to show you what this looks like when we shift from what I call band-aid parenting, where we're just trying to punish or discipline a behavior, mood, or attitude away, and we shift to what I call long game parenting. So I'm going to show you what this looks like in the same example with that boss on that project that you were working on, and I'm going to show you what it looks like when that boss uses long game strategies instead of band-aid strategies. So imagine you are struggling with this project still, but your boss sees this behavior, you're not getting this project done, as a symptom that you are struggling. And they talk to you about where you are struggling. They also come to you with the knowledge of why certain people struggle on these projects, that it is related to complicated skills that you may not have. So your boss comes to you, asks you if maybe some of these things are going on, tries to get into your world to see why you are struggling. Once they figure out why you're struggling, then they teach you the skills that you need, and they give you strategies in areas where you struggle. So they work with you to become more competent in the area where you are not competent at this time. They want to work with you instead of against you, figuring out what the problem is and giving you what you need to be successful. So I want you to think about that. How would that affect your performance? You can also think about how would that affect you, and how would that affect how you feel about your boss? This is a boss who is using long game strategies, and we can use these same strategies with our kids, and we have to use these strategies if we want to see long-lasting positive results. We can think about, what does my child need to be successful? And I have some really good news for you. In almost every single case, what your child needs to be successful boils down to two things. Your child probably needs help with some sort of emotional yuck or discomfort they have, and your child needs skills or strategies to do what you're asking them to do. You can't assume they know how. Even if a child is old enough, if they're still struggling, then clearly something is going on, and we need to address either that emotional yuck or the skills that they are missing. So again, to shift from band-aid parenting to long game parenting, we start to look at our kids' behavior differently. As a long game parent, we are saying, if my child has a negative behavior, mood, or attitude, that is a symptom that they likely have some sort of yuck, and they are likely missing skills. And if I want things to go better in the long run, if I want more calm and confidence and connection, I'm going to work with my child against the problem. The problem is this yuck and these missing skills, instead of working against my child and trying to punish them or tell them everything they're doing wrong or lecture them or dangle a carrot in front of them, some sort of reward. We want to get deeper than that and actually address what is going on. This is the first step of the long game formula. So I want to give you some practical examples of what it looks like to shift from band-aid parenting to long game parenting by addressing children's needs. Imagine your child isn't brushing their teeth and you see that they're being resistant, they're doing everything they can to avoid it. You could use band-aid parenting strategies and start to yell at them or threaten them or be on top of them as they're going to walk to the bathroom, just telling them they have to go, this has to get done. Those are band-aid parenting strategies, just trying to change their behavior. The alternative is to say to yourself, why aren't they brushing their teeth? And remember, we're going to consider their yuck and we're going to consider their missing skills. So maybe they have yuck because the time when they have to brush their teeth creates yuck for them because they just had to stop playing a game that felt really good. And having to stop that and go to brush their teeth creates a lot of yuck. They feel out of control. They may feel some yuck in their body as they're trying to detox from that great feeling that they just had. So they have yuck in their body. Very likely also, because brushing teeth is a boring task, they actually don't know how to get through boring tasks. So they don't know how to push themselves to do something they don't feel like doing. Believe it or not, that is a skill. And if kids haven't mastered that skill, there are strategies we can teach to do that. So again, they have a lot of yuck. They don't have a lot of skills, and you're just seeing that in their behavior. Their behavior is a symptom of that. So let's use another example. Let's say you have a child who gets really upset when someone doesn't play a game the way they want them to. What you may see in that situation is you may see a big reaction. They become bossy. They tell the other person what to do. They get really upset when that other person doesn't play that way. That's the behavior you see on the surface. You may have the instinct to tell them they're being selfish, tell them they need to think about other people, that they can't always get their way. But that's not addressing their yuck or their missing skills. So what's happening when they are losing a game is they have a tremendous amount of yuck because it doesn't feel good to them to lose a game. They may feel, again, out of control. They may feel like no one cares how big of a feeling this is inside of them. There's a lot of emotional yuck inside, and they don't have the skills to master this type of yuck. They also likely haven't mastered flexible thinking skills. They don't have the skills to say, hey, it's okay if I don't win a game. I have other good things in my life that feel good, and this isn't that big of a deal. They don't have the skills to handle their yuck or to see things differently. You see that as a symptom, which is their behavior. If you want things to change in the long run, you want that long-lasting positive result, you have to help them with their yuck. You have to teach them how to think flexibly. You have to teach them how to use coping skills. They don't instinctively know how to do this, and you can tell by their behavior. So when we shift from band-aid parenting to long game parenting, we're actually seeing our kids and we're giving them what they need to be successful. Now remember, there is that second step of the long game formula, which is to be a powerful positive influence so that you are able to reduce their yuck, so that you are able to teach them skills. That is a part of the formula as well, and I'm going to talk about that in the next episode because I see so many parents struggling because they try to meet their kids' needs, but they're unable to. And again, I will get to that in the next episode. What I want to do, though, to wrap up this episode is have you think about this. When you are using band-aid parenting strategies, which in your defense are the strategies you were raised on very likely, the punishments, the rewards, the lectures, the yelling, the discipline, the seeing this as a bad behavior, when you use those strategies, it doesn't really lead to long-lasting positive results. But it also does more than that. If you think about what it was like to be under that boss who used those band-aid parenting strategies, it makes you feel bad about yourself. And that's what happens with a lot of kids with big emotions, is that they know they're disappointing you. They know they should do something different, but they have a lot of big feelings inside and they don't know how to do something different. So it impacts their self-esteem. It impacts their relationship. And again, as I'm going to talk about in the next episode, it impacts our influence. When we shift to long game parenting, though, when we give a child who insists that they have to go first or they can't lose a game, when we understand the yuck inside, we help them reduce that yuck and we give them strategies to manage those feelings more effectively. Not only can they handle situations like that more effectively, they become more resilient, but they also feel better about themselves. They know how to handle those big emotions that they're experiencing inside, and they know how to do what we're asking when we say, hey, we need to handle these situations more effectively if we want to play games in the future. We're teaching them how to handle those situations more effectively. It's increasing their self-esteem, it's improving our relationship with them, and it's also improving our influence with them. Now, I will tell you, for better or worse, Every interaction you have with your child is going to take you closer to Band-Aid parenting, where you're not seeing those long-lasting results, where you have more negativity in your relationship with your child, where you feel more stuck and they feel more stuck. Or every interaction with your child can take you toward long game parenting, where you are working with them to figure out what's going on and giving them what they need to be successful. That means they know how to do what you're asking. They feel better about themselves. They feel better about you. Every interaction gets you there. And the good news is that becoming a long game parent is just baby steps that you take in interactions you have with your kids. I call these long game baby steps. And these are the steps that I can teach you. You can learn through a simple process what your child needs and how to take the baby steps to get there. That's when you're going to feel better. That is long game parenting. If you want more information about how to become a long game parent, check out the show notes for this episode. There I list both free resources and ways you can work with me more directly to get the support, the roadmap, the specific steps to get you where you want to be. So check that out on my website at rachel-bailey.com/310. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.